within us gone through that yet. And so the New Testament allows strong as death, not stronger. Love is as strong as death to stand in this present reality until the future reality invades this reality and consumes it. Love will be, and through Jesus Christ, already is stronger than death. But experientially for each of us, that is in our future, not the reality we live with today. So the New Testament never, not once, never cancels what Solomon said. So the great blessing that we have in this reality is not only the hope of the future, but the words that he gave us. Love is as strong as death. David, come and lead us.
Thank you. Unfortunately, in a trip like this, you have so much in such a small amount of time that if I start going over, Sammy, just throw a punch or toss something at me. And you need the pictures to understand the story. But, you know, it's really can get difficult at times. Okay, you can go to the next slide. That's our symbol, Southern Baptist Disaster Relief, South Carolina. I'm also a member of one of the Oklahoma units. Okay, for y'all, and I was proud of Gabe. He looked at it and said, Kentucky. The red is Floyd County. So you can see where South Carolina was at. Each state had a different county in that area. We had Alabama, Georgia, Florida, Tennessee, and the Tennessee unit was working with a team out of Ohio. We will send a unit up in 2 weeks from Lexington. They will take 2 trailers of tools and a couple people to run the command post. We got teams coming down from New York that are going to use their tools. That way they don't have to drag trailers all the way from New York down here. So you can see it's a holistic point of view. The church that was working as our command post was First Baptist Church in McDowell. About 5 feet down from the sign is where the water stopped at that church. They up on a bank, and the water, that's how far the water made it to them. So they was blessed, okay? And what I'd like to do is I'd like to take a collection of the other units that are there with us. We had 2 other units working with us, Edgefield, and you see later Conway, North Conway. On the 15th, the church was closed, so I didn't get a final count when we left, but this is just McDowell County. One of the smaller counties in Tennessee, population-wise and size-wise. But these, up till the 15th, is the number of works they've done, the number of works they closed. And the thing, what they told us, because this is the second time in 18 months this area had been hit. 18 months ago, they was begging people to let them help. People didn't want nothing to do with us. They didn't want us in their home. They didn't want us helping. They would stop us at the porch and turn us around. They was angry at God. And they was angry at the church. Because they had problems, the coal mine get closed down, people out of jobs, nobody shows up and help. And then all of a sudden you have this big incident coming up, and then all of a sudden everybody wants to show up and help. And they was angry. This time they was coming to us. It was like Jonah. Jonah goes into the city, he finally preaches, and all these people get saved. These are people who didn't want God in their community 18 months ago, and this month was making confessions of faith and returning back to the church in droves. So sometimes it takes 2 incidents to wake you up. But it was a whole lot different story this time than it was 18 months ago. Okay? One of the Montana guys. We had a Montana work team. The guy on the porch worked with the Montana guy. This road, this is not a driveway. This is a road. You got a big diesel truck pulling a trailer. You driving down the road, you meet somebody. Somebody got to back up onto a driveway so the other person can go through. These are the roads we drove. That's why I don't drive. That's why you have, if you can back up a trailer, that's all you need to know how to do to work disaster relief. We need people that can back up trailers. And sometimes you got to back up trailers a long way to get to the last driveway you just passed. But these are the roads in the inner part. Now they had the 2-lane roads out in the city part, but once you got up with the people, these are the roads you saw. Okay? The Lodge. Now I never knew these people, but they're an independent Christian group, but the Southern Baptists do support them through our community fund. They call the GAP. It's God Appalachian Partnership, which is different from CAP, which was the Christian Appalachian Project. GAP was an independent organization sponsored by different Protestant groups. CAP is the Catholic version of GAP. So you got to keep those two straight. We was GAPs, and the Catholics was CAPs. And we'll get to it later. For some of y'all, how many of y'all have been on disaster relief trips in the past? We're going to get to some stuff. This was 5-star. This was a 5-star trip. How do you tell how high the flood went? If you're driving along the road, what the one thing you can look for, and it will tell you how high and Jennifer, you can't answer this. How high the debris where?
Up the bank.
Or the trees.
Yeah, both.
Walmart bag. Well, this is a part of the problem with the streams is that you got the debris still in the water and it's still backing up water. Okay. Okay, that's me with the Montana guy again. This is the entrance of the Gap, which one of the laundry ladies waiting us from. They were from Florence, and the laundry unit was that's from Lancaster. The feeding unit was from Florence. Okay. When you go on a disaster trip, the first thing you want to know is what you're going to eat, where you're going to sleep, where you're going to shower, and if the water's going to be hot. 6 men to a room, but we had 2 sinks. This nice dining hall. I went to Mississippi one time during Katrina. We had to leave the church, cross the parking lot, cross the street, cross another parking lot, turn around, go into an adult shelter workshop to take a cold shower. And then you had to walk back to the church that you were sleeping on the floor. Nice little dining hall. This is a Gap facility, okay. That's what the room looked like. 3 sets of bunk beds. You get 6 guys in there. They no storage space. So you store it on your bunk. Your suitcase, everything's at the foot of your bed when you slept. But again, this is 5-star disaster relief. Okay. A shower, a toilet that you can shut the door. Unlimited hot water. They had a tankless hot water heater. Unlimited hot water. Again, this was great. This is the name of the place. Again, as you can see, you see the river down there, and you can see the Walmart bag in the tree way up there. That's how high the water got. We saw one bank, 20-foot banks, 40-foot wide, another 20-foot to the people's house, and this was running water, and it still made it to the people's house. How do you fill up that much of an area with running water? I mean, it's not standing water, this is running water. I tell you, the force of nature scares you. Okay? And again, you see the water line. This is the Gap place. This is the water line. And again, you got trash up in the trees. And I'm trying to get an angle so people can actually see how far we was away from the river, but yet we still got that, they still got that much water. Okay? This was on that's my bunk. This was on the refrigerator in the feeding unit. The best teams are made up of a bunch of nobodies who love everybody and will serve anybody and don't care about becoming a somebody. That summons up the great commandment. Love your God with all your heart. Love your neighbor as you love yourself. I mean, that's it right there. That's the Bible right there. Okay? We had dessert. Those are people lining up to eat. Okay? Again, more debris. This was the first night meal. Our first meal in Mississippi, Columbia, Mississippi, was a spoon. This was after you've been doing chainsaw all day. Was 1 scoop of corn and 3 cocktail weenies. That was our supper. That's all the food they had, because they was also trying to feed the community. Chicken enchiladas, taco, rice, beans. We made sure that the new guys who had never been on trips said, this is not how you normally eat. But I tell you, I gained weight on this disaster trip. Okay. Again, they had to pull the siding down off the building, and this is the Waccamaw Baptist Association. Okay. And again, we sitting around, they fixed our lunches for us. The ladies got up, they took orders. I said, what do you want for lunch? You took your order. We had meatloaf one day. The next day we had meatloaf sandwiches for lunch and stuff. Okay, the first house we went to, the water came in so fast. I talked to their neighbors. His son came by and saw him and then went to work. He called his daddy back about 10 minutes later and said there's going to be a little bit of rain, a little bit of flooding and stuff. How does it look? He went outside. He said, well, the creek's up a little bit, but we okay. 30 minutes later, he called back and said, Dad, can you get your truck and go get my wife and kids? Said it has flooded already their house and they can't get out. He stepped out and the water was on his porch. He couldn't get out. That's how quick that water moved. In 30 minutes, it went from the creek is high until it was up on his deck. And people had no time to get out. And there's some horror stories that came from that I will get to. But so they didn't have time to unpack. We lost a day of work because we had to unload the houses. These plastic bins full of water. The flood was like 3 weeks ago. This plastic bin was full of 3-week-old stagnated water. Okay, the mud, the cabinets, all that had to come out. Okay. Again, if you can see where the wrinkle is, the water probably got about this high in the people's houses. You can see where the paneling is starting to wrinkle. But unfortunately, especially with paneling, it wickers. The water wickered, so we had black mold all the way to the top. So the whole walls had to come down, and all the floors had to come down. Okay. There's the black mold. Goggles, face masks. And no matter how bad and uncomfortable that gets you, don't take that stuff off. That mold will make you sick. Again, you can see the mold in the houses. That's some stuff we use to help sanitize. Okay. 12 o'clock the first day, that's what the pile looked like. At the end of the first day, that's what the pile looked like. There's a round to the house. The 3 sisters. These are the ones from Lancaster County that did the feeding unit. Lancaster County at one time was one of the largest disaster relief units in the state. This is all left. Karen, I'm going to get with you. We're going to talk about these ladies later. They are in the process of switching Lancaster from a mud out, tear out, rebuild unit to a laundry unit. And they out to try to recruit new. The sister in the middle was on cancer treatment, but she still came. She got her last cancer treatment this week. The lady in the back is the manager of the feeding units, a miracle worker and stuff. But yeah, the 3 sisters, and to show you how attached you are, these were some very lively, loud, happy sisters. We met them on Monday. They went home Thursday morning. When we came back from our job on Thursday evening, it was sad. They went on the porch to greet us. The lodge was actually quiet. I mean, it was like a family member missing. It was like a spouse or your children missing when we came in Thursday and the sisters was gone. You really, you develop that type of relationship with people you never met before. Okay? Again, you see the floors are buckling, and you will find as many as sometimes 7 layers of flooring. I mean, they don't just pull up, if they got laminate and they want to put hardwood, they just put it over it. And if later they want to put carpet, they just put it over it. Then later if they want to put on that press board, they just put it over it. This had 3 layers of flooring. So you say, okay, it's going to take us about an hour to get this floor up. You get it up, you look, There's another layer of flooring. But it's all got the mold in it, so it's all got to come up. As you can see, the pile is starting to grow. You notice the black bags. And I don't know how many y'all they have changed the rules. In the olden days, we just threw everything into a wheelbarrow, took it to the edge of the road and dumped it. That leaves a mess, especially sheetrock when it gets wet. Now you got to bag everything up. Wet sheetrock in a garbage bag, you only get about a third at the most, and it's heavy. So it slows you down. It takes us longer to do the work. That stuff is heavy, and it also adds to the expense. But you got to start, anything that's not large, you got to start bagging up now. And so that's a little bit of difference. Okay. More black mold. Okay, there's the bags. That's the sheetrock and the insulation. You can see behind it the flooring, the hot water heater. That's another thing. When you go to these, and the first thing they tell you, you don't judge these people. You are not there to judge anybody. These houses have been built over the decades. The original homeowners moved in here in the mid-1800s, the late 1700s, and they own the same property. They have built houses and rebuilt houses. We cut off every wire in that place. No power coming out of anybody. We went to move the hot water heater. There was a wire hooked up underneath it. The guy went to cut it, and it popped and it threw both of us. We still don't know where that juice came from. But the wiring looks like a spider nest because they do it. They don't pay nobody to do their work. They do their own work. So you got to assume every wire is hot. Don't ever make a mistake thinking it's all dead. Okay, there's again another area of the flooring. This is we finally got into the basement area. They still had standing water, so we couldn't get underneath this house to pull out the ductwork. We usually take the ductwork out too. This is going to have to dry. But you still see all the mud, the snake. We didn't find any snakes. The Edgefield unit found 2 copperheads in a house, and the Conway student unit found a copperhead one day and a king snake the next day. They didn't kill the king snake, so Mr. Benny would be happy. But the copperheads, we took the copperheads out. I'm sorry. But you can see, again, we punched a hole. You can see the insulation. Over here, you can actually see the water standing underneath the house. That insulation got to come out because, we shock it to kill the black mold. But as long as this stuff is under there, the black mold is just going to grow. So another unit is going to come in behind us, and when it's dry out, we got to get that insulation out eventually. Okay. And we try. These guys are trying to fish the insulation out with a rod with a hook on it. So we do try our best to get it out there. Here's some of the stuff we pulled out, and you can see the mold and the mud on it. Okay. Again, they trying to fill it. We try to shovel it out. Andrew supported me on this. If 5 nails will hold something up, the people in Kentucky believe you throw 20 nails in there, because that's really going to hold it up. We couldn't get anything up in a clean break because of the number of nails in the walls and the number of nails in the floor. The problem is you can't scoop the debris up because of the nails. You can't pull the nails up because you got to get the debris out of the way so you can find them. So it's like walking on a bed of nails in these buildings. That's why you need real good solid shoes when you do disaster relief. And so that slowed us down too. Okay? And here's some of the insulation. So we're only pulling it out by chunks. Lucifer was in the house designing. And one of the things Lucifer designed was that compressed sawdust boards. When that stuff gets wet, it just crumbles. It expands and then it crumbles. And it fills up, and it takes forever to get that stuff out. And again, you can't scoop it because the floor is full of nails. And then, of course, you can also see the black mold and stuff on the floor. Okay. Okay, again, some more of that sawdust stuff. Now, the first house, you talk about you don't know what we're doing. We took this house, we took every wall down, we took all the floors down, we threw away just about every bit of their furniture. When I was young, I thought fire was the worst thing that could happen to somebody because it burned everything and everything was gone. Fire burns clean. It is gone. Floods, you got to throw people's lives away, or they got to come and help you throw their lives away. And that is hard, and that is emotional. We stripped this house down. The daughter got the mother, because she couldn't even see the house. She wouldn't come and look at it. When we finally got it finished, she came to look at it. As soon as she walked in the door, she started crying. Tears of joy. She was crying tears of joy. We destroyed this lady's house. She's crying tears of joy because she said, I could see the light. This is doable. Said, before, I couldn't do this. Said, I can rebuild this. She said, I might rebuild it like Johnny Cash, one piece at a time, but I can rebuild this house. And she kept saying, I see the light. Every room we go to, she go, I see the light now. When we was feeling sorry for this lady because we stripped her house down, she was seeing joy because she can rebuild now. And that's what we're there for. We are there to lift up joy. We need to lift up the joy that God gives people from our hard labor. And that's, again, why you can't even judge the situation. One of the guys that went with us, this was only his second trip and his first tear out. When he walked into the house the first day, he said, we can't do this. There's no way we can do this in a week. And we was able to get it done, and he was really, you know, what is this lady going to say? Look what we've done to our house. Look at everything we've thrown away. Bins full of children's schoolwork and trophies and awards and stuff. And she's crying tears of joy. Stephen's about this big, about that ride, and he's crying tears of joy when the woman started crying tears of joy. Okay, back up a little bit. These pictures were sent through multiple devices, through multiple people, and that's why some of the pictures out of order and stuff, because my device was so old that I couldn't do anything with it. Alan actually put this together for me, but it had already gone through like 4 different devices before Alan got it. The brown trailer didn't get any water. Unfortunately, the neighbors ran into them and split it. So you think you safe, then you could get a slam and your neighbor then slammed into you. Okay? Or you catch a telephone pole and split a house. That's some more of that sawdust boards. That's just some nasty stuff. Okay? Or you lose half your house. Okay, that's another house that hit a house. Okay. Debris on the side of the road. A house kind of leaning. Okay. Cars, if you saw the orange X, that meant they for sale quick. Orange X means that they totaled it and stuff. And you see houses, and you can see one up in a tree later. Again, another house hitting a house. Okay. And that's just a close-up. This is the river that we were talking about that had the 20-foot banks, 40 foot across, another 20 feet to get to the house. And just amazing. How do you fill that much area up with water? Now, in this area really got hit hard. 2 trailers were in the same neighborhood. Both of them had 5 people in it. One trailer went down into the river, got washed into the bridge. It hit the bridge. The people got out. A guy and his son were driving by in their truck, picked 3 of the survivors up. They lost the other 2. The next day, they found the other 2 up in a tree. 2 trailers down, all 5 people was killed when their trailer hit the bridge and it collapsed in. That's how you angry with God. How does 5 people survive and 5 people die? How do you explain that? You can't explain stuff like that. You know, the thing is, you know, well, what you have to tell them is, you know, why did God let this happen? God didn't let this happen. This is the sinful world we live in. But God loved you so much, He sent us to try to make things better. We're not going to heal you, but you're going to make things better. And that's what you have to keep reminding people. You can't be thrown by the horror stories. The next to the last Thursday, or was it Friday? Yeah, Thursday. Thursday, we was eating supper, and one of the assessment team came in. They came in late, and they were truly shaken. They had got to a house to do an assessment 3 minutes before a guy took a shotgun and blew half his face off. His mother had died over a year ago. His wife died of cancer 3 months before this. He was sitting in his trailer watching the water comes up. His brother, his only brother living across the street, trailer gets washed away and gets killed. He leaves, and last we heard he was brain dead, and the father, who's the only surviving member of the family, hadn't came to the point where he could unplug the guy. I mean, we are not made to deal with stuff like that. It's difficult. But then you go back to the lady crying tears of joy, and that lifts you up. Okay? Another house. I don't know how many of y'all ever worked with insulation. But I give you one thing we learned on this trip. If anybody ever walks up to you, Sammy, and say, I got some insulation underneath a mobile home that needs to be taken out, you say, I will pray for you, and run. You see the crawl space here. I mean, that's it. Wet insulation. I don't know how many of you have ever been underneath a mobile home, but they have like this tarp that holds the insulation up. But the water gets through it. So you have to crawl on your back or your belly underneath there. We have 4 adult males underneath there with box cutters. You have to cut away the tarp. Then you have to pull the wet insulation down on top of you. Shove it out to the next guy. He grabs it, kind of rolls over, and shoves it out to the next guy to get it out. In the 20-something years I've been doing disaster relief, and I went to Katrina, I went to Iowa, I went down to Florida. I've seen trees this big. That's the hardest thing I ever did. Every time I came out from underneath that house, and then somebody said, David, we need something, and you have to go back underneath there, I had to pray, God, don't let me run. Put me back underneath that house, because it was every time I went underneath there, and the other guys said the same thing. We were debriefing. Every time we went underneath there, we had to say a prayer. God, help me under here, because I'm ready to run. This was truly the most difficult thing physically I have ever done in my life. Okay? Again, it shows you, that's the river again. Again, it shows you how little space we have. And when you got into the front of the trailer, it went from 2.5 to 1 foot. I mean, you was really compact in there. And you had to work 2 or 3 hours at a time, because coming in and out was such a struggle. Once you got in there, you just stayed in there and you worked, okay? There's me suiting up. They tape the gloves on so no water and stuff can get inside. They tape it around your boots. And that's how you look. Again, here's some more of the crawl space that you under. Now, the mud did help. You could slide. You appreciate what a snake goes through. You could slide underneath the house and not actually have to drag yourself. So the mud did help, and it kept it cool too. It was not hot under there. It was nice. It was comfortable. Okay. There's Jack and me. That was the guy I was working with. That's the entrance hole. Okay. Car up in a tree. Okay, keep going. There's the 4. This is our noon picture. This is what you look like from 9 till 12. Then they have to cut you out of the suit. You eat your lunch. Then they dress you back up. When I came out at 4:30, I was in no mood to get my picture taken for the second suit. the humor had gone real quick. But this is how you look coming out. And this is how you look going in. Okay? And there was one of the chaplains talking to Jack. I mean, you really did. The chaplains was there not only for the local people, but it's for us. You know, you walk up when somebody had just blown half their face off with a shotgun. You need somebody to talk to. You need somebody to pray with. You tearing out somebody's life when you tearing out their house. You need somebody to talk to. This is the second feeding unit. They came from Lexington, because you only work so many days and you leave. We didn't get a second laundry unit. We did get a second feeding unit. They did our laundry for us. They didn't have to, but they did our laundry for us. I only used 2 sets of clothes that whole week. We'd come home, we'd put our stuff in a laundry bag, we'd sit it on the porch. The next day you get up, it's sitting on the table folded, clean and stuff like that. And that helps. Okay? Stephen and Danny, talking about relationships. And this was fun to watch, them two. Stephen came from New York through Fort Mill to Kershaw, the town of Kershaw. Danny lives in Newberry. Didn't know each other. By Wednesday, we was calling them father-in-law and son-in-law. They picked at each other. They insulted each other. They tried to tell each other how to do their job. They prayed together. They laughed together. They ate together. I mean, they did. And when I went to take their picture, they were smiling. I said, no, give me the father-in-law, son-in-law look. And so that's what they're doing. I mean, they bonded. On the way back, they was on the phone with each other. They both was our drivers. They had so different trucks. They was on the phone with each other the whole way back, just talking to each other. That's the type of relationship you develop when you do this. Okay, there's another one of our feeding unit with the coffee pot. Most important, you forget the food, you better bring the coffee. Okay, there's our team. Again, only 3 of us was from Kershaw. The other 4 was from different counties. So you don't have to, like I said, I've been with an Oklahoma team before. I've been with a Seneca team. I've been with a Lexington teams. You know, you don't have to just stay with your home team. If your home team goes and you can't, and you can go another time, you hook up with another team. This is the Brain Trust. Avery, the guy on the far left, was the site commander. And I tell you, he did an amazing job. It ran so smooth, well organized, well coordinated, and David in the middle and George at the end was the chaplains there for us. And they was there, all the jobs, everywhere, talking to the people. We said, you know, we talked to somebody, they might need somebody to pray with them. We talked to somebody else, they got somebody that's bedridden, and they would go. I mean, they would, you know, we'd get them on the phone, we'd need somebody at this, and they would go. And helping people and that type stuff. Okay, I think that's it for the pictures. But the main thing you have to remember with disaster relief is no matter who you are, what you're like, you know, everybody don't have that spiritual gift crawling underneath mobile homes in the mud, pulling out wet sand. I mean, that's not one that Paul mentioned. But if you like children, we have child care units. If you ever watched a Transformer, they have these trailers that they bring out. And in 30 minutes, they open the trailers, flip them, turn them, put up the thing, and they got a schoolroom. At the end of the disaster, they folded it back up into the trailer, and they gone. Feeding units, laundry units, which is what I'm going to bring up with the Women on Missions and Alan and his group. They are trying to get Lancaster to get rid of their rebuild unit, get rid of their tear-out unit, and build the money for a laundry unit. They want to start a laundry unit out of Lancaster County and stuff like that. And we may have some people here who might not can do tear out, chainsaw, but maybe they can help with laundry. We have feeding units. We have communication units. You got to have people that can communicate and organize. We have chaplains. Chuck and I was talking earlier about the counseling aspect. So we have anything. If you can't use a chainsaw, but you can pull limbs, you need 3 limb pullers for every 1 chainsaw worker. You know, somebody can hold a ladder. Somebody can oil and change the tools and clean the tools. With the black mold and stuff, you know, this blade needs changing. Get another one while somebody cleaning it and stuff like that. It's everything you can do. You know, when I first started disaster relief back in the early 2000s, 75% of the Kershaw disaster relief came from Trinity alone. Now I think there are about 5 or 6 of us from Trinity that are still active members. You know, we need to start thinking about this. And if you can't go today, they just call you the next time. If you can't go the next time, we've got people that been trained and for a couple of years they've never been on a trip. But when they can get one, you know, as a teacher, I could only go during the summer, spring break, Christmas break, and Thanksgiving. So I was limited. So I missed out on some stuff. But it's always there. But the thing is, we are there to do one thing, to bring the light. Just like that lady said, she saw the light. We are there to bring the light of God to these people. And what happened afterwards, that's in God's hand. You know, it may be a while before the rebuild. You know, Kentucky fixing, their winters come quick and they come hard. There might not be much rebuilding during the winter time. It may be the spring before a lot of these houses start getting rebuilt. But that's in God's hand. But we left houses ready, and the people know these houses are ready. It's going to get better. And that's what we do. We pray for people. We reintroduce the church to them. We reintroduce what Christianity really means. A community who was turning people away 18 months ago is welcoming us with open arms now. That's what we are there for. Just to bring the light of love and heart. You don't even have to say anything. When they see you dragging that wet insulation or that wet sheetrock full of mold and stuff, or dragging those trees off of somebody's house, that speaks volumes. You don't have to say a word to witness God's love for these people. So if you think about it, if you think you're interested, get in touch with me, get in touch with Pam, Charlie, Randy, Bird. All of us are members, and we can point you and help you. If nothing else, get the training. Once you get the training, and if you decide you want to go on a trip, or it's not for you, but at least you got the training, so that if you do have a chance to go, you can go. Okay? Do we have any questions or anything about what happened up there? No? Yeah. It's usually offered twice a year. They do have some special training, like in a couple weeks they're going to have some blue hat training. The gold hat are the workers. The blue hats are the site supervisors, and the white hats are like Avery, who controls the whole thing. They're going to have a blue hat training in a couple of weeks, but that's just for blue hats. It's not a whole thing. But they usually have one in the low state, they have one in the upper state, and then they have one like in the Midlands and stuff. But I can start keeping track of the training and giving it to Judy to put in the newsletter.
So like the clothing, the laundry,
Mm-hmm.
blue hat, would that fall under the blue hat?
No, that'd be all gold hats.
Oh, is it?
Now the person who's in charge of the unit would be the blue hat.
Okay.
In fact, the smallest sister, the one that was suffering cancer, she's the blue hat for that unit.
I got you.
It's just like the supervisor.
So most people start out with the yellow hats.
Yeah.
And then I got you.
Yeah, you start out with your gold hat and you work your way up and stuff. And if you also may have noticed that when I came in or at the Sunday school meeting, I had a different shirt on. You only wear these shirts if you're going to or from an incident, or you working on the incident, or you doing something like this. If we, when I finish here, I'm going to take this shirt on and put another shirt on, because if we go out to Sonic or something like that, that has nothing to do with disaster relief, so you don't wear this shirt. You don't wear this hat. You notice how you get, some places will give you pins. Certain disasters, they actually give you pins, and people kind of collect the pins. Katrina, and done my Oklahoma pin when I became an official member of the Oklahoma Disaster Relief and stuff like that. And that's just a little bonus and stuff.
It appears that there's a training October 15th on the...
That's the statewide, yeah.
In North Augusta.
And that's yellow hats.
That's all the stuff. All the different units have a training, and you get there, and once you get the training, you get your yellow hat.
Sorry, it's coming up.
Where else I know? Where do I sign up?
I have to get the website and get it to the Southern. You go to the Southern Baptist Convention in Columbia, their website, go to Disaster Relief, and you can sign up there.
That's where I just was. It's all the information is there.
And you can just sign up there, and then you can decide what you want to do. You go to Introductory to Disaster, everybody takes that, and then you just say, okay, I want to do tear out, so you go to the tear out training. Some people call it mud out, but we're kind of getting away from the mud out because you do a little bit more than that. If you want to do chainsaw, communication, and it's good to get trained in multiple things. Like Kershaw County, we tear out, chainsaw, and rebuild. So if you want to take part in everything, you get trained in all three of those.
I run in and do. I can run in and do.
Yeah, but that's what we need, I tell you. They don't let me use the tools. I'm the plow horse. I'm the one that drags the stuff out. I'm not allowed to use tools.
Y'all have somebody go in and look at what y'all gonna do.
We have assessors, and that's another training. If you're somebody who maybe physically not able to do the physical work, you can become an assessor. And believe me, you got to have a good assessor. That house that we did the installation, whoever did the assessing said, oh, that's a half-day job. So I don't know who did that assessment, but they really messed it up. When Avery and other ones came out, they said, well, we apologize. If we'd known this job what it was, we wouldn't have sent y'all. Y'all too small of a group to do that. We had no second team. I mean, we was under the whole time. Usually something like that, you do 2 hours, you come out, and another team goes in. We didn't have another team. But whoever did the assessment said that's a half-day job. It wasn't. But it's something I took off my bucket list. No, that right off my bucket list. Anything else?
That in the same area they've had floods before, or just the first time they've had a flood?
Now, McDowell didn't get flooded the first time, but the place where we did the installation, they did get hit. They did get hit before. So that was the second time in 18 months they've been hit. And you know, like Chuck's asked me, why didn't they just condemn the trailer and just rebuild? No insurance, no source of income. How you gonna just start over? You can't. You know, they did, and I don't want to get political, but they talk about these green deals and stuff like that, and they want to close down the mines. All these people had good paying jobs 2 years ago. The mines are shut down. They have nothing. I don't know where all these green energy jobs gone to, but it's not going to these people. It's going to the Chinese and the people in California, but these people don't have jobs because they closed the mines down. And they promised them they was going to replace these jobs with other jobs. There ain't no jobs coming there. There's not enough votes in these communities for the politicians to care about them. That's why we got to go. Because God's the only people that care, the only person that cares about these people is God. And the only people that can go help them is Christians. You saw no FEMA trailers. You know, during Katrina, that's all you talked about was the FEMA trailers and stuff, and these people moving in. No FEMA trailers. These people living in mold-infested houses because the government has not sent one FEMA trailer for these people to live in. And you don't hear that on the news either. That's why it's so important that we put people up there and help them, because God is the only one looking after these people. Anything else? That's my political commentary for today. Unless you go home with me, now my wife's going to hear more. Okay.
One note about taking the training. Just because you take the training doesn't mean you have to go to Timbuktu. I have gone on disaster relief trips right here in Kershaw County. So there's always some need, so don't think that you have to go also.
Yeah, the last two I've been on Spartanburg, Sherrall, and Orangeburg. Before I went on this one, those are my last three. So you can stay local. You don't have to make the long day. You can do the weekend ones. That's local.
David, how is this funded? Is this just through our time?
Southern Baptist, strictly through Southern Baptist, and you know, people donating and stuff. Going to Mississippi one time, Jerry Gardner driving. Somebody said, Jerry, I think these people back here trying to get your attention. We look back, the poster child for Hell's Angels, about 30 of them behind us. And you could tell they would get up to our trailer and they would kind of swerve to it. They were trying to pull us over. We wasn't pulling over. So one of the lead guys comes, he walks up to Jerry's window and he does this. So Jerry kind of rolls his window down. He hands him a bag of money. Said, God bless y'all. And then they just took off behind us.
That was Brad.
That was Brad? Well, thank you, Brad. We didn't get a chance to thank you. You took off so fast. But it's amazing, as you go, people will stop you at restaurants and stuff and just hand you money.
The J.D. Chapman offering that's coming up in September is our statewide offering, and they all give funds to disaster relief.
But no government, we don't take any government money. That way the government can't tell us how to do things. Okay, if nothing else, I'll turn it back over to Chuck.
Let's thank David.